Chasm Converses.
Hello listeners, welcome to Chasm Converses, the place where I discover, meet and talk to creative people and artists from all over the world. Today, we're back in Australia and we're heading to Melbourne to talk to somebody who is making their mark on the music scene. It's Terra Rouge. We have a great conversation and she tells me about her tour that she conducted recently, travelling and playing across several states in Australia, including Adelaide, Sydney and Brisbane. She shares with me her motivation for music and her creative desire to put on shows, namely one of her most recent shows called the Terra Rouge Experience to celebrate the release of her newest single Couch Song. And you will not believe the things that she came up with to make the show more like an experience as well as like a theatrical performance. From floating through various genres of music, she's found her niche in heartbreak and rock and roll. Here is Terra Rouge.
I'm sick of begging you without me when you moved on so quickly and I'm done.
Terra Rouge, welcome to Chasm Converses.
Thank you.
It's really cool to meet you, and you're joining me from Melbourne today.
Yes, I am.
Sick, awesome. Have you lived there your whole life in Melbourne?
I have. I've only ever at the start of this year when I went on tour for my album, that's the first time I've been anywhere else in Australia, really.
Wow, really?
I had a little snippet of all these little places. Yeah, it was cool.
That's sick. I enjoy touring. It's so fun. I haven't done it in a while, but it's especially in Australia because obviously it's a bit different because it's so far away from everything. So it's it takes you a bit longer to get to places unless you decide to go to your country towns and that kind of stuff as well. How did you find it? Did you really enjoy going to new places? And whereabouts in Australia did you go? How far did you decide to stretch?
So I went Newcastle, Sydney, Brisbane, then I went back to Melbourne, and then I did an Adelaide show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I did a few Melbourne shows, and we drove the whole way.
Oh, wow. Damn. Yeah, shit.
Yeah. So I had me, and then it was 3 of my band members. I've got a 4th now, so yeah, it was a full backing band, and then I had 2 drivers to drive all of the equipment and the people.
Oh wow, that is huge. That's massive. That's, man, it's really one of those things that really surprises me when people do because obviously so much comes into touring with getting all your gear and everything like that. And as I said, because the distance is so far, it's a real commitment to be able to do that. But that sounds insanely great that you did that with all those people and you were all committed to going, not even to a few little towns, but literally going to different states and the cities in those states. I mean, it's completely fine that you didn't go to Perth because that's a 24-hour drive from where I am in Adelaide. So that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, Adelaide was cool. I liked Adelaide. I liked all the places. I loved touring. It was don't get me wrong, it was tiring and we did Newcastle, Sydney, Brisbane over 3 days.
Wow.
So it was a lot of driving. And we had to do Sydney to Brisbane. That was 10-hour drive. And then I had a show that night. But it was all worth it. I missed it as soon as I got back home. It was so good.
100%. And I guess especially with us as musicians, because it's one of those things that you kind of have to do if you're in a band or that kind of stuff. If you want to get your music out more and more, you travel to the people, you play to the people and that kind of stuff. But also from especially back in the day, you hear, tour stories and that kind of stuff of your favorite bands, your favorite artists. And then you start doing it yourself. And there's a real nice connect that you can kind of have with knowing that the person who you looked up to the most did exactly what you're doing right now. Yeah. And it's that grind that you get to do. And it's just, I don't know, it feels like you're doing something. It feels like you're I'm fucking hustling. I'm going for it right now. It's enjoyable. Exactly. Even though it might not seem to be incredibly enjoyable, but it's good.
Yeah. It was so tiring, but it was everything just it all ran so smoothly. And I had really good, a really good team. My backing band and the drivers were all super keen and enjoyed it. And it was just it just made the whole experience. And then going to these random places where there's people I don't know that know my music and we're like singing along, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy, bro.
That is pretty
Like,
crazy.
that's insane. Like that made it definitely.
Yeah, that's sick. It's one of those things that I've literally only just thought about this now,
Mm,
because I lived in London for 10 months and I just went back over there for a month and came back just recently.
yeah.
But like from one end of the UK to the other is like, maybe like a 8 hour or 10 hour drive, maybe a 12-hour drive
Yeah.
from like one end to the other, which is like, I mean, it might be
Okay.
more than that, but it's definitely not the stretch of Perth to Adelaide, that's for sure.
Mhm. Oh
Um,
my god.
but just like, it's just one of those things that when a band or like a group like yours or a singer-songwriter like yourself has
Mm,
like a team that is able to do all of that stuff and travel that distance for that amount of time and be cool with it, then it's like,
yeah.
man, if you were over somewhere like in London or in another European country where, you could drive, an hour and get to a completely different country town, completely different
Yeah.
people, completely different accent.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be like not, it wouldn't be easy because obviously it's like a relocation thing, but it would be
Yeah.
easy in the sense that you've driven much, much further for much, much less in that respect.
Mhm. Yeah. Totally.
It'd be so cool.
Totally.
But like, is that one of the things that you'd love to do one day is like go overseas, tour, that sort of thing, go to different countries and like do
Yes.
the whole circuit?
Oh, I love to. I love just going to different places and playing. I just really enjoy being on the move and playing like my music in areas. Like it's like I'm discovering the area as I'm
Mm.
like going to play there. And then it feels so boring to come back home.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know, I guess it's the not like the familiarity. Like when I go somewhere new, it's like new and exciting, you
It
know.
is. Yeah,
So
definitely.
I would like traveling like overseas for my music would be insane because there's so many different cultures and languages, and like that would be a whole massive experience in itself, let alone playing there, like, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would love to world tour, bring it on.
Hell yeah. One day, sure, no
One
worries.
day.
Well, I'd love to talk to you about obviously yourself as a musician and as a creative person.
Yeah.
When you were starting off being a musician or when you were starting off writing songs and that kind of stuff,
Mm.
were you more so, I suppose, like, is it something that you started doing earlier on in life, or is it something that you sort of found you liked more as you got older?
Yeah, I think like I was always kind of like a little bit musical. Like I never really like I didn't start off like with the singer songwriting stuff. Like
Mm.
I played piano, and it's so funny, like looking back, I was like I only took piano lessons, I think I was 8, because it like got me out of class at the time, because like the teacher would come in and be like, it's time for piano class, and that's the only reason I took it. And it's like,
Hell
I'm a
yeah.
musician now, I'm still friends with my teacher, like
Yeah. The old the other what's the extracurricular activities that like get you out of the
yeah.
class for like maybe 30 minutes or maybe even an hour sometimes. It's
Nah.
like,
All right,
yes.
like-
We were always jealous of those kids. Like, damn, we should do something like that. Because then otherwise we have to sit through like, maths or essay writing for movies or whatever
Yeah.
we were doing.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
But I was like, I played piano for ages, and then I played viola, which is so random.
Sick.
But I don't know how to still play it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't till like I think I was in year 6, and I did like a theatre production of Robin Hood, and I got cast as Maid Marian.
Oh, there you
And
go.
my teacher came to me and was like, listen, I want to give you the role of Maid Marian under one condition: you have to sing a solo in front
Ooh.
of all these people. And I was like, no.
Oh, damn.
And he was like, tough luck, it's not a choice, you're doing it. And I was like,
Put a lot of
fuck.
pressure to put on one person.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, but like I look back on it and I think that's what really kind of kicked me into like realizing I could sing and then like doing something with that, because I did it and I enjoyed it, and I had all these people being like, wow, you're really good, so that helped.
Yeah, definitely. Especially.
And then I think like, a couple years later I'd start to do like writing songs for like music projects, school projects, like and just like really like not good songs, but there were still songs.
How you just write, you write as you can,
Yeah, I don't know, 14-year-old me had no experience with anything. So
I mean, if you're only 14, like you can only do so much. Like, you don't have
write
like,
about the moon, the ocean, like
you don't
what
have a
else
ton
you
of life
get.
experience yet. So I guess like it's kind of limited to what you can maybe write about, but also like your knowledge might also be slightly limited. But like, it comes as
Yeah.
it comes as you grow up.
Yeah, definitely. But I always I always enjoyed writing. I was like when I was a lot younger, I really wanted to be like an author. That was my first like career that I was like, this is what I want to do.
Sick.
And then later I started to get more into the songwriting and the music, and my school was like had a pretty good music program and like culture, and I think that's what made me really enjoy it because I was like,
Mhm.
it's fun, you know.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like my songwriting just kind of like grew a lot with me as a person. Like
Mhm.
I started playing as Terra Rouge when I was 16, 15 or 16, I think. And I think I just watched like Bohemian Rhapsody or something like
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
and I just became like really inspired. I was like, fuck it, like I'm gonna do this.
Sick.
And
Nice.
I like went to school and I had like my group of friends and I was like, I just came up with my stage name. It's going to be Terra Rouge. I want to play as this. Can you play for me? And they're like, yeah, cool. Like, you know, we'll play your music with you. And they're my
Sick.
backing band now. So like
Nice. That's awesome.
they're stuck in it. They're not leaving anytime soon.
No, they're
Um,
entrenched.
exactly. And then like it was like I decided that, and then I think a few months later COVID happened, which was
Oh yeah, that's right.
not helpful, but also I was
No.
underage, so I wasn't getting gigs anyway.
Yeah.
But that kind of sent me more down like a like I have nothing to do, so I'll just write music and I'll just
Mhm.
learn about music and I'll just like I tried to learn how to do different like production things and I was really interested in that side. I realize now that I cannot do that because it drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
At least with my own music. Like maybe someday someone else's, but far out, I could not listen to myself that many times.
Yeah, it's insane. Like if you go into the studio and you watch like what your sound engineer does, and it's
Yeah.
like, man, I still am in awe of my sound engineer whenever he goes through like my voice, whether I'm screaming or
Yeah.
singing, or even just going through like drums and that sort of stuff. It's like, man, like I
Yeah.
could never, I don't even have anywhere near the amount of experience to be able to like do anything like that.
Exactly.
But the fact that you have that experience, but then you can also like, you know, go through listening to all of this for so much
Mhm.
time. It's just,
Mhm.
man, like when that song came out, I'd be like, man, I fucking hate this song.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like that.
Surely,
Um,
it's mad respect.
Thanks. But yeah, like I just like I think I was like discussing this with someone the other day because I released like 2 singles and an EP when I was like 17, and that
Mhm.
was a lot more like very kind of like dark pop, like a lot more solo, and then my sounds kind of changed like gradually over time, like into like more rock,
Definitely,
like
definitely.
like I started to write like as soon as I turned 18 and I could play gigs, I started to write songs that I thought would be fun to play.
Yeah, right. No, true. Okay.
Yeah, so I would think more about like the performance, less like still I think about the lyrics obviously because like that's what you need to do.
Absolutely, the songwriter for
But
sure.
yeah, like I wouldn't just like slap it just a bunch of fucking lyrics and be like, let's make a cool sound or just whatever.
Yeah.
But I started to think more about like the performance when I played and what would be fun to play, and I think that's kind of why I've gone more like a rock route now.
Mm.
And it's really interesting to kind of look back on my songs and like me at the time because I feel like they're so representative of me and my sound. Like it sounds how I look and it sounds how my personality is, if that makes sense in any way.
Yeah, no, definitely no. Because I was going to
um,
say, like, with the first EP, I was Black Scars and Diamond Hearts. Good,
Yeah.
fucking sick. Like, it's a really cool like title.
thank you.
I was going to say, like, with that, because I've obviously been listening to like, you know, I've listened to as much of your category as I have possibly could.
Thank
And
you.
I did definitely sort of feel like that was, I know, I really do like that EP for the fact that it just sounds so incredibly different to everything else that's quite obviously recent. But as you said, that's probably where the switch is, how you started off with that dark pop sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then as you've grown and as you've gotten around music a bit more and that sort of thing, even probably even more around like the music scene itself, the later sort of stages of the other like singles and stuff, which obviously led into your album, have sort
Yeah.
of changed with that into that more rock style of music, as you said you wanted to put, which makes a lot of sense because like when you do see, you know, rock stars on stage playing all that kind of stuff, it's like, hell yeah, it looks real fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you can definitely see like the switch and the change, and it's not necessarily like
Yeah.
it's just like it's a change within the person. And
Mm.
like the lyrical content obviously as well has changed like quite a bit as well. But again, that just
Yeah.
comes from growing up and experiences and all that kind of
Totally.
stuff.
Yeah. I think even like listening to my first EP, every song sounds so different in genre because I was
It
so
does.
like just like wanting to explore, and I was very much like at the time I was like, "Ugh, I can't like fit in one category, you know, like
Mm, yeah.
so there's like a blues song, there's like a
Yeah.
techno, there's like just a poppy like indie vibes one, and
Yeah, Blood Rose is like such a groovy song. I was like not expecting it at all,
yeah,
but I was like, it's
it's
actually real. I like this. This is cool because obviously, like
it's good.
the fun part about like doing this for me is that like the people that I meet, I don't know anything about them or any of their music.
Mm,
So most of the time, they give me, you know, if it's like, oh, this is the person who's just put out a new single and this is what it is. Most of the time, I'll listen to that first single, but then like I'll go straight down to what their first song was and that their second song
yeah,
was, or their like early releases. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna listen to that first. Or like I'll like try and get a little delge on like everything from the timeline of what's been going on.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so as I said, when I listened to like the to Couch song,
Mhm.
and like Fuckboy and all those songs, it was like, yeah, cool, this is all right. And then like going down to, you know, songs like Sunset Smile and Blood Rose, it was like, well,
Yeah,
damn, this is a big switch, very different. But like it's
yeah,
cool to
very,
see
very.
the different transitions. But yeah, you can see that now you've sort of settled in on a genre that you want, or a genre that
Yeah,
sort of better suits your style of what you're playing now.
definitely. But I still love to like switch up. Like I have a really fun, like energetic live performance, but I love to um chuck in like that similar vibe of song to like my old songs.
Mhm.
Even in the album, like there's a few songs that are kind of bringing it back to that vibe. Like
Yes.
Poison Heart, even Let It
Yes, that's
Burn.
what I was going to
Like,
say. Yeah,
yeah,
that was actually in the car. Well, I was listening to that in the car before I got back home today, and that was one where I was like, oh, it's a bit different now.
yeah, exactly. And it's the funnest thing to chuck in a live set because I had a show on Friday for my single launch,
That's right, you
and
did.
it's the most like drastic switch. So I had played like I think I'd played Falling, and then I played 6 Feet Under, which is the like super sad like
Mm.
solo acoustic song, and I was like I had the couch on stage, obviously it's a couch song,
Oh
duh.
yeah.
And I was like sitting there on the couch with like my acoustic guitar, and like everyone like the audience is like so quiet, and then afterwards I'm like, time to play fuckboy, you know. Like
Switch it up
it's the
completely.
most drastic switch, and I think it's the funnest thing to do
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's just represents my music as a whole. It's just
Yeah.
so different from each other.
No, that's really cool. I'd love to ask you about like that show actually, because yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that you were that performed. It was on the Friday, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, how was it? Were there like lots of people there? And obviously you had like you had a lot of other things sort of going on in that show as well that you put out for your
Yeah,
fans to have as well. Yeah, take me through that.
I do. So I've been working on this show for since March, I think, when I initially started to like record Couch Song. But I really, really, really wanted to make it like a very different experience, like nothing you have like ever seen in Melbourne.
Hmm.
Um, and so I had like a bunch of little things like other than the live music, which I had like my merch store, which everything was labeled like it was in a house. So my merch store was called Terra Rouge's Wardrobe.
Nice.
And then it genuinely was my wardrobe as well because I had like a secondhand clothing rack, and it was all like clothes I was getting rid of that was like $5 and under, and
Huh,
um
that's sick.
and then I had like a Terra Rouge's vanity, which I got like some of my backing band members to do like um a makeover for people. So I had like glitter, temporary tattoos, um like black nail polish, like all stuff that was kind of like fits my vibe so they could like look like me in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I had like a Terra Rouge's desk area, which was like a massive cork board, and it was like a design my next tattoo.
Mhm.
And people could like draw stuff and like pop it up. And now I got to choose one of them to be my tattoos.
Yeah, right.
Which
Sick.
I don't know why I signed myself up for that, but
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
It's yours now.
I didn't get
It's
to
like,
even look at them yet.
true, exactly. It's like, where's it gonna go? Where's it gonna go?
Yeah, exactly. And then I had like a Terra Rouge's yearbook area, which was just like a massive piece of paper that people could write stuff on. And I had like a photo booth, which was like my big banner, and then like a couch chair, and then people could just take photos there and dress up. So that was a lot of work to put up, but it was all worth it. Oh, I also did show bags, which
Oh shit, really?
did my fucking head in. Oh my God.
Really? That's insane.
I made like hundreds of beaded bracelets that had like my song titles and just words like related with me. And I like handmade like little programs for the show of like, you know, these are the different stalls, this is the acts of the show, and all like just random bits of information. I did like hundreds of just little drawings and like my signature.
Damn, have you got like a lot of spare time, or because that's like
I don't.
that is a huge
I don't know why I
commitment.
did that.
Yeah, like wow, that's
I did not.
incredibly impressive.
Yeah, and what else did I put in it? I put stickers in it, and then I put hearing protection because I was like, I feel like more people should be giving out hearing protection in gigs. So
That's
we don't
genuine
all
care
end
right
up
there.
deaf.
That's good. I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
count the amount of times I've gone to a gig and been like, I have to buy more earplugs. I go home now.
I
I've got like
always forget my
six.
hearing protection.
Yeah,
I always
exactly.
forget my hearing protection. It's for all of the me's in the audience.
Exactly.
And then, so I had all of that, and then for the actual performance, I made it like a theatrical set, and it was I split it into like act 1, act 2, act 3. And like act 1 was the in love act 2 was the heartbreak, and act 3 was the rock and roll act. And it was kind of like I had a little storyline and tried to connect my songs, because what I love to do, I love whenever I'm like with the EP and the album, I try to I make up a story in my head of how I want them to flow. And I don't know if you noticed, the EP and the album, their names are the first line of the first song
Oh shit, really?
on that. Yeah.
Oh,
so
right. Okay, I mustn't have picked that up.
yeah,
Damn. That's
little
sick.
hidden gem.
Damn, yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and have a look at all that.
Yeah. So Black Scars and Diamond Hearts is the first line of Sunset Smile, and
Right.
Fucking Over It is the first line of Fuckboy.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay. Yep. All right. That's okay. But I got that wrong. I thought it was like it was the reverse way or something like that. Like the first line of as in like the first line of the Black Scars and Diamond Hearts was like, you know, I'm over it or something like that, and then like it was like a reverse. But no, I did notice, especially on the Fuckboy one, I definitely noticed like that was the first line of that song. And I was like, oh, right, that's cool. That's good. So it's good. Like it's one of those really cool things, like with EPs and like albums, just in general, from like, you know, whoever makes them and that kind of stuff. It's all. I've always been fascinated about the placement of the title of the EP, if that title is a song in itself, or if it's literally just a word that's recurred in a spot. Because like, you know, you have heaps of like albums and stuff where like, you know, it might be called something like this, and then that song's like the last song, and it's kind of like, yeah, I like that. That's cool, because that's like the ending of like, this is this the entire story, and the last track is the name of the EP, and that's the end of the story. But then it's also really nice having it as like the start, because it's like, this is the start of the album. This is the first track. It's the name of the album. It's the flow. It starts here and it goes down. I've never understood when people put like the name of the EP or the album like in the middle of like I've never understood that. I've wanted to find someone who's done that and ask them why they did that, just so I can sort of understand the mentality behind it, because I still don't understand like why that's a thing.
It's like a start or a finish type of deal.
yeah. Like I guess if you're just like sort of throwing songs in there and there's no like real like storyline behind them, or there's no real sort of worry about their track listing, I guess then you would do it. But I don't know. I feel like there has to be another reason why they would do it. Like I'm a massive like Killswitch Engage fan, but they've had like, you know, I listened to End of Heartache, and that song's like the 7th song on like a 12-track album. It's like, why is it in the middle? It's such a good song.
Really weird.
But why is it in the middle? It should be at the end. Or it should be at the start.
What's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, but then there's other.
But I love it.
Yeah, there's plenty of other.
I
bands
love
that
like
have this at the start.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think I took a lot of inspiration from like My Chemical Romance, in the way that they have like a made up story.
Yeah.
that their songs like flow through and tell that story and like sometimes connect. And I think the story I came up with for the first EP was like, boy and girl fall in love and then they break up and then the boy kills the girl and then goes insane over killing the girl, like a
Yeah,
Macbeth type situation.
Sick. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool to actually talk about this. I should do it more.
Yeah. This is why I do these things, because it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually really, really cool. I forget how much I think about these things.
Yeah.
And
We're creatives. This is literally what we do all the time.
Exactly.
We want to be interviewed and talked to about this stuff because we want to tell it to people. It doesn't come up in everyday conversation, so it's like you don't get an opportunity to do it all the time.
Yeah, it's like, and if I try to bring it up without it being prompted to, I sound like a dickhead, like.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I feel that.
Like, let me tell you the law.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about my songs. It's like, oh, sorry, I just wanted to get on with my day.
Exactly. But I really wanted like this set to kind of be like, kind of like a merge of like a normal gig and musical theater, I guess, like an in between. So I had a lot of like, I recorded narration parts and I had this cool like home phone microphone that so it had like a normal microphone and it was like a home phone. So I would like pick it up and I would talk in it to the audience, but look like I was just on the phone. And yeah, so I actually out like the whole storyline and chose like, certain acts to have different colors and I put a couch on the stage.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
And yeah, it was just so much fun. Like it was like, I want to do it every gig. Obviously I can't because sometimes I'm just supporting people and I can't just put a couch on the stage.
Yeah.
But like,
Could you imagine?
It's made me like, it was worth the effort. Totally. Like it was so much work, all of it, but it was so different and unique. And I think like everyone left being like, wow, like that was like, I've never seen anything like that before. That was really, really cool. So I think I want to do more of that kind of in the future in my like future headlining gigs where it's more like fun things you can do as well as watch live music, obviously, because you want to support the people. But then also having like a storyline and it's like not just like watching like me play music, but like having something to engage with, I guess.
Exactly. No, it's very true. Very true.
Yeah. And I made the decision from my tour to always have an all-female lineup for every headline I play because the vibe is just so different. And I think there needs to be more representation, especially in Melbourne. I don't know what it's like in other places. But that just like, it's kind of cool every time I do a headline and I leave being like, I like that. I didn't like that. I'm going to do this next time, Yeah,
absolutely. No, for sure. No, I think it's a good idea for sure to do that. Cause I mean, like it's good that there's, especially these days, there's a lot more female representation of like stages and in bands and that kind of stuff. And women themselves are, I think, more comfortable now sort of just being involved in music and becoming like parts of bands and going on stage performing live. And I only say that because back when I started there was a few, but there wasn't like too many around our scene really. That were kind of, you may see like a girl pop up as a guitarist or a bass player, maybe one or two as like lead singers in like a few bands and that kind of stuff. But now I think, especially in the last couple of years, it's been a lot more circulating through, and it's been really good to see that, like, that they are comfortable doing that now, and that people like you, like other women like you, and even guys are like more inclined to kind of make their their lineups or their bands more diverse in having like that on a lineup, because it's I mean, back in the day, we've had countless shows where it's just been like an all-male lineup, and it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But like after a while, it's kind of like you want some more inclusivity in sort of that sort of spot.
Yeah, and variety. Like I feel like a female singing brings such a different vibe, like to a song. And I've noticed as going into the scene of like, I guess, more rock music in Melbourne, because my whole backing band are all girls, and we'll rock up, and there's really not like, I could probably list all the other like girl bands on one hand, like in Melbourne,
Okay.
And I'm very aware of my femininity whenever I rock up to a gig.
Yeah.
But it also kind of, I think it makes it a bit more unique, and it changes the performance. It makes it a bit more interesting
Yeah.
sometimes, especially like an all like every single band being a guy lineup, and then you have some girls there, and it's like just changes the vibe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, it's good that, you know, you are able to sort of, you recognize that yourself and you try and like help it out by adding more women to your lineup personally, but also to like your lineup if you've got a show going on, that kind of stuff. But then again, as well as that, I'm also very like, it's also very impressive to see that when you do have a show that's your own headlining show, you're willing to go out of your way to go like all in and make it more like a performance or more like an experience for people rather than them just rocking up at a gig for another night in Melbourne. So that's awesome that you can do that and that you want to do that. I mean, that's
Thank
one of
you.
those. It's one of the biggest things like these days is, I mean, you see bands that, you know, have heaps of funding or they might have a label, they might be on tour, that kind of stuff. And they get to the point where they can do whatever the hell they want on stage. Like they can have massive lights, trons, massive cages, like also I saw Korn recently, they had a massive fucking cage. But like they can do whatever the hell they want. And it's like, it's so good that like, you know, you've already started to kind of have that want to do whatever you like within like the parameters of how you want to make it happen. And that says that's good, because like a lot of bands and stuff don't really go out of their way to kind of do that. So that's good. That sort of separates you a little bit from the herd of, I guess, regularity, which is impressive.
Yeah. It's kind of, I think it keeps me on my toes like creatively as well, because it's like as I've been playing more and more, like I think I've realize that it's not just like creative expression. It doesn't just come through your music, and it's especially when you're performing live, like that's a whole show in itself. You're like, you know, that's what people connect with, I guess. So like I just try to keep it interesting.
Sure, definitely, absolutely.
And like you said, with like, you know, people like massive artists on big labels that can just do whatever they want, I think that's kind of what inspired me to be more creative with stuff on stage, because I was like, okay, why can't I do it? You know, like DIY. Like I'm going to chuck a couch on stage. I'm set on it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you did. So they're like, yeah, awesome.
And like sometimes when it's more DIY, it feels more personal anyway. So like it's cooler. But yeah, I think it's definitely something I'm going to continue to do with all of my performances, because it just makes the experience like, it's just so different. So different.
No, definitely. Yeah. We're like sort of slightly running out of time, which is a bit annoying because this has gone so fast and so smoothly. But but I would love to ask just about like yourself, obviously as a musician, and you know, you started off, as you said, when you were very young. You've obviously grown with your music and you are in a different spot now, because a lot of times, especially when we are like with creative people, as we said, we like to talk to people about this kind of stuff and like to express about all of the lyrics of a song or this sort of thing and that sort of stuff. But sometimes we don't really take the time to kind of just like reminisce or look back on what we've done, where we were to where we are now, and really sort of, I guess, show like a bit of gratitude, or like even just like realize all that we've done before to get to where we are now. And so when it comes to what you've done so far throughout your journey, like, are you able to sort of like sit in just realization and like, I guess, gratitude in knowing all the stuff that you've done since you were younger, to like, you know, learning as much as you have, to working with the people that you have worked with, to being where you are now? And when that continues, I guess, over in the future as well, and you also sort of see, you know, yourself only getting better from here, the music getting better, the shows getting more extravagant the more that you do it.
It's definitely something like I've struggled a lot with personally, because I'm a massive perfectionist and I'm constantly wishing that I was like further or like bigger than I am. And I think like these past few months there's been a lot like trying to be a lot more grateful for what I have, and like you said, reminiscing a bit more, to be like, you know, I am doing really well. I'm doing a lot of it by myself. And it's like, I think I'm only really ever able to kind of realize how far I've come or how well I was doing at the time, like in the future. Like I look back and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like I've done like nothing for my music this year. And they're like, wait a second, I literally organized a tour. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
I literally went on tour, and that was like majority of it was organized by me.
Yeah.
So it's something I think like I struggle a lot. I have struggled a lot with. I continue to struggle a lot with, but it's something I'm trying to get better at.
Yeah.
And I think it was the first time I ever really looked back on like how far I'd come. I think was on my 18th birthday.
Right.
And I was like, damn, like I've literally played in front of like thousands of people. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's
there's not many people that like, you know, are like under 18 and have played. Like I played at one of the climate change strikes.
Okay.
And at the NGV here, which were the two main gigs that I played when I was underage that had like a few thousand for both gig.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I was able to reminisce and be like, damn, like, you know, I'm actually doing okay. Like,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty cool. So it's something I'm trying to get better at, because I'm my worst critic and I'm so harsh on myself all the time. But I'm trying to be better at that.
Of course. No, I mean, we all are. Like, we can be our own worst sort of enemy at some times with like creativity and all that kind of stuff. Like how old are you at the moment?
I just turned 21 like a few weeks ago.
Oh, you've got so much time. Don't worry, you've got plenty of time. 21, that's like, you've got like 4 years to 25, 5 extra years in your 30. I'm close to my 30, so it's like you've got a lot of time to, and as I said, you're in a really good spot at the moment doing what you're doing. So like, you know, you continue that for another 3 or 4 years, you'll be in your mid-20s and God knows where you'll be then. So yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing and it's awesome to see.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, but no, I thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
Having a conversation about your music and your life and everything like that. As I said before, you know, you've got lots of time to, you know, keep on doing what you're doing. It's awesome that you have such a big commitment to wanting to put on bigger shows for your fans, going all out, doing all the stuff that you do, making show bags and bracelets and putting a couch on stage and like writing down the whole thing as like a, you know, like a play or like a theater production. It's just something that like a lot of people don't really do in like the local sort of a scene. So it's incredible that you do that. And it's something that I think a lot of people will notice, especially as well. And that will sort of make it a bit different for them and obviously for yourself as well moving forward. But no, it's awesome that you've done that. And again, like even this year, you know, you've released an album, like 7-track album at the start of February. And now you've just put out another song like near the back end of the year. Some people just put out 3 singles and that's it. You've done a whole album and then another single. That's like, you know, it shows that you've got commitment and that you actually love to do this. That's fantastic. But even so,
definitely.
Thank you so much for joining me. To all my listeners, listen to Terra Rouge, follow her musical journey and support her. And I thank you for joining me and I wish you all the best on the rest of your musical journey.
Thank you so much.